So hi everyone. Hi everyone. So today we'll be looking at business growth and learning from startup concepts for business growth. I will be looking at two different business cases today. So what is actually business growth in terms of scalability and all of that? So let's look at lesson to the learn from startup. So for every startup company, there are basic elements that make them have that kind of scalability that we see today that a lot of startups are having. So one of it is the frequency. Frequency. Two, accessibility. Three, leverage. Those are three basic elements that determine the scalability of every startup. I will look at them one by one. I also look at different business cases. So what do we mean by frequency? Frequency is the number of activities that a business can generate. Okay? The more frequency you can generate, the more profit you make business activities. So the frequency these activities can occur, the more you can actually generate more revenue and the more you can scale and all of that. So that's one of the advantages that a startup looked at. I'll give an example. If you look at a similar company like WeWork, okay, uh, where they actually lease out office space for shorter, all of that, or basically look at real estate. The concern for me as a startup promoter or as a CEO who wants to generate more frequency, what I'm going to look at is if I'm going to lease an apartment to use for my business and I want to scale so fast in every city that I go, even outside the country or anywhere I want to go, cross-border growth and all of that. If I decide to take a 24-month lease, this has a lot of disadvantage. It has already tied down my resources to a single transaction for too long. So that way, the frequency that I need, that frequency we're talking about, cannot be achieved by this. I can change another model. I can say, okay, instead of leasing one asset for 24 months, can I lease it for 3 months or 1 month? So if that happens, what you are going to see that's going to happen definitely is that you have automatically create 24 activity instead of one single activities. So whatever profit we are going to make is going to be on every activity. So the profit margin, the number of activities is growing compared to someone who will decide to pay 24 months for one lease, but you have several leases that you are just paying monthly. So it gives you room to be able to do a lot of activities. Okay. Now, so in the frequency, one thing that happens is that you need to look for how you can manage your resources short time that you can create a lot of recycling. If you can get that done within your business model, what is it going to result into is that you're going to create a lot of activities, which means there's going to be a lot of growth, a ripple effect, and that is going to help you scale so fast. Okay, let me do another example. If you look at like in the banking industry, okay, the bank actually lend them money. The startup fintech are also lend them money. But the fintech create a lot of activities because you lend probably very little compared to what the bank will lend, and is lending for a very short time. Because it's lending for a very short time, it could repeat this over and over. Why the bank is going to actually take a long time to going to give a loan to maybe one single person or one single entity, for a very long time, tying low capital. Okay, but a startup, a fintech, would rather give a small amount of money to multiple people for a short time. So what is going to happen is this. Let's assume you have $100. Okay, let's assume you have $100. Let's assume you have $100. Okay, so we are still on frequency, learning from startup. Let's assume you have $100. So let's say you have $100. Okay, if you give $100 to one person, okay, you have generated one activity. If you give $10 to 10 people, you have generated 10 activities. Okay, that is how you generate multiple activities. You can also generate another activity somehow in terms of timing, in terms of the number of time, the number of repeated activities for a very long time. Let's look at another one. Okay, let's look at a conventional banking system. You lend $100 to one person. Okay, so that means $100 is stick to one person. Let's also say that you lend this $100 for 12 months. Okay, lend out this $100 for 12 months. This guy lends out this $10 for 10 people for 1 month. Okay, he lent out this money to 10 people for 1 month. What it means, at the end of the year, the conventional banking, which is A, and the fintech, which is B, the activity that will be generated by the conventional banking system and concept, you will get 12 months. That's the number of months. That's one activities. So you end up getting just one activity. Now, but in the case of B, which is lending $10 to 10 people, so it means that you have generated 10 activities now for months. So what you're going to have is that you have 10 times 12, okay, times 10. So if you do this times this times this is 120 times 100, that is 1,200 activities. So you're going to get 1,200 activities that have been generated. So that is how the fintech works. So assuming this guy will only generate one activity 1 times 1 because he's giving it to one person for 12 months. So it's just one activity times one activity. You get one activity. But the way the fintech reason out is a look at it. Instead of me to give this $100 to one person, I give this $10 to 10 people for 1 month. So by the time you multiply this, 10 people times 10 people times 12, that's $10 is let's say 1, sorry, let's say 1, because 1 activity times that's 12. So there are 120 activities. Okay, so you generate 120 activities. That is, can you imagine how many activities? You have 120 activities against 1 activities that this conventional bank will have generated in terms of. So let's assume that is making 1 profit from this guy. He's going to only make 1 profit, okay? But this guy is going to make 120 profit regardless the amount, but it's a multiple effect because he's lending to 10 people for monthly. So you can have recurrent, so you can settle lend for them every month for 12 months. So you are going to get 120 activities. That is how a startup company or new generation company thinks. How do we create more activities? So if the fewer the activities, the less the growth you can achieve when we talk about exponential growth. That's all about frequency. So let's go to another one, another key element of growth. Another key element of growth is accessibility. Okay, what is accessibility? Accessibility is actually having access to customers. Because most of the conventional banking does their things manually. So they requires a lot of physical presence because you have to be there physically. You have to bring your documents, you have to do all of sort processes and all of that to get applied for this. So because of that, it limits the number of access because it means that if I have a physical bank in a particular location, the people who are around the location can only have access to that bank. Okay? And because it has to be done in a physical way, then the customer have to physically visit the bank and a lot of activities going on. This creates a lot of limits. And that is why when you talk about digital products are products that anybody can have access. So see accessibility as digital product, where everybody can have access to a product without necessarily being there. So one of the things, let's look at maybe Airbnb and all that. They're everywhere because it's a physical product. Because they don't get involved in the physical activities, they get involved in the digital part of the business. So they can scale, they can actually be anywhere in the world. So it gives that cross-border growth. So it means that you can grow as much possible. And that's why if you look at a lot of social media, look at LinkedIn, look at Facebook, because their digital product is accessible to the global space. So the growth is just amazing. So it's as much as you can reach people, the more awareness you can create, the more drive you can create through those platforms, and the number of growth you can experience as a company. So accessibility. So one of the advantages, if you are going to look at fintech and Airbnb, the advantage of fintech is that I don't need to be there. So I can actually be in the UK and borrow money in Nigeria. Okay, I can actually be in the UK while borrowing money from Nigeria because I have access online to reach those things. And all the criteria, all the things are basically done online. So they can actually repeat those things. And because the processes are automated, okay, because they are automated, a lot of this can go on at the same time while you are making money from every activity that is generated online. So accessibility creates multiple activities. Okay? So imagine your business model already has created, when we look at frequency gives you a lot. We talk about frequency initially, so you have a lot of frequency because of your business model. Then you also have a lot of accessibility. A lot of people have access to your product because they are digitally enabled. The product itself are digitally enabled. So it makes it accessible to everyone. So that also creates a lot of global market for you. And that is why I still feel that the way to go is to create a digital product because anybody can actually buy those products. Assuming now you are making a training material, you're making a documentation and all of that, put them online and give them access to everyone in the world. Anybody can actually buy that your product and you're earning money from every corner of the world. That's what accessibility is. Okay? And that is what a lot of conventional businesses are losing out from because their business are physical businesses, are physical products, and require a lot of physical activities, reducing the access the business will actually get in terms of customer base. So let's look at another one, which is the leverage. This leverage is why a lot of conventional business, big conglomerates, are not able to transform from the conventional business into a startup space. So what a lot of them are doing is actually partnering with a fast-growing company, okay, extending their resources to them through some kind of JV partnership or equity investment or whatever kind of investment, partner with this thing, or giving them access to their customer base and all of that. So what these people are missing out because leverage does not allow you to actually invest your money in physical assets or things that can hold your money for too long. Okay, like buildings, like cars, like things that can depreciate, things that can you can touch and all of that and all of that. Basically, you are expected to promote your digital product. So in that case, most of your investment will be going into promoting your digital product online. Okay, and maybe if you look at it, let's give an example. If we are into some kind of fintech, okay, where you have to do lending, you have to give money out. So your money that you're giving out is not going to go into infrastructure or all of that. It's going to go into physical lending, okay? It's going to go into physical lending, or it's going to go into marketing those products, or not in buying car for staff, buying building and all of that, because these are digital products. So it has to be leveraged. So someone, and another way people do a lot of this is that they have some kind of usage rights, or like people who do vehicle related startup. Instead of them owning those vehicles, they leverage on people who brings those assets through. So what they have access to is just a usage right to use. Or some people who do some kind of office space, they don't actually own those buildings. So what kind of they have is some kind of usage rights. So you are leveraging on someone's assets. You are leveraging on some other people's resources, so that you spend most of your money in building a great brand that people want to relate with, people want to associate with, creating a lot of customer base through online media and all of that. So that is what leverage is all about. So let's recap all of this. So basically, if you are doing a business or whatever business you're doing, you could apply this concept. You can actually apply this concept to your business. Whether it's a startup business, whatever you're doing, if you apply this concept, that's why you see, I look at some people who are into real estate. You might say real estate is actually not, you might say it's not a startup, whatever way you describe it. But the way I analyze a startup, let me give you an example like Grant Cardone. If you look at Grant Cardone model, you see that it does a lot of leverages. It does a lot of leverage, you leverage on a lot of things and all of that. And it does a lot of marketing, and you can invest online into a Grant Cardone investment. So if you look at it, it's not necessarily that you have to be physically a startup, but you can apply all this concept into any kind of business that you are actually doing and get the same benefit. And that's why some people, the way they analyze investment, it's not necessarily hard to be written startup, have to be written technology based and all of that. Okay? They look at it from the point of view that how much activities can we create without necessarily investing so much into that space? How much activity can we create? Because the more frequency you can create, the more money you can make. Imagine for every activity you make $1, and in 1 second you create 1 million activity. That's $1 million. So that is the way you should think as a startup. And this can be achieved by looking at these three elements. Look at the frequency. How do you generate frequency? Create more frequency in your business. How do you create access to everyone, that more people can have access to your product at the same time? That way, your growth is borderless. So you can grow as much as you want. Then thirdly, how do you leverage without actually investing in physical aspect? I hope you've learned one of the things. Drop your comment. Let me hear from you. We'll see you next time. Thank you.